After days of mounting tension with Iran, today President Trump tried to dial back fears of war, dismissing a New York Times report that one option from the Pentagon is to deploy up to 120,000 troops to the Middle East should Iran attack American forces or accelerate work on nuclear weapons.
Fake news, okay? Now, would I do that? Absolutely. But we have not planned for that. Hopefully, we're not going to have to plan for that. And if we did that, we'd send a hell of a lot more troops than that.
A short time later, Iran's supreme leader appeared to respond in kind, saying, "We don't seek a war with the United States." But the risks of conflict remain. The U.S. this month sent an aircraft carrier strike group to the Persian Gulf to respond to unspecified intelligence reports that Iran is planning to attack U.S. interests in the Middle East. U.S. officials tell NBC News that intelligence sparked a new round of military contingency planning, the biggest option involving 120,000 troops. But there have been no steps to implement that plan. It comes as the U.S. is investigating a suspicious series of apparent attacks this weekend that damaged 4 oil tankers, 2 belonging to Iran's enemy, Saudi Arabia, in the Persian Gulf. Iran denies it was responsible.
And Richard joins us now. Richard, we're seeing some deep divisions in the U.S. government about this showdown.
Lester, many U.S. officials are saying the administration is looking for a conflict, while others are more hardline, including National Security Advisor John Bolton. Regardless of the divisions, tension remains high, and CENTCOM tonight said U.S. troops in Iraq and Syria are on high alert because of potential attack from Iran-backed forces.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.